What happens when one of Hollywood's most calm and collected actors completely loses his temper on live television? That's exactly what happened during what was meant to be a normal promotional interview on The Today Show. Jason Bateman, known for his dry humor and calm nature, ended up in a heated argument with host Craig Melvin that quickly got out of hand, leaving viewers shocked and the studio in chaos. This wasn't just another celebrity outburst. It was something more personal, and it all began with one question that touched a nerve no one expected. Before we dive into what went down, don't forget to subscribe and tell me in the comments what you think set Jason off. Now, let's break down those unforgettable 20 minutes of live television. The interview started like any other. Craig Melvin greeted Jason Bateman with his usual friendly charm, and Jason sat down with that small, knowing smile fans recognize from Arrested Development and Ozark. The conversation began smoothly, focused on Jason's newest film and his thoughts on the streaming industry. "So Jason, your new film has been getting great reviews," Craig said with genuine enthusiasm. "Critics are calling it your most personal work yet. What drew you to this story?" Jason shifted slightly, still smiling, though something in his expression changed. "Well, Craig, I think as artists we always look for stories that challenge us. This project definitely did that for me." "Uncomfortable territory," Craig repeated with interest. That's an interesting phrase. Speaking of uncomfortable, there's been talk online about some of your past comments about the entertainment business, especially about how actors deal with criticism. Do you still stand by those statements? The mood in the studio shifted instantly. Jason's smile faded just a little, his fingers tapping the couch arm. "I'm not sure what comments you're referring to," he said evenly. Craig glanced at his notes, though it was clear he knew the quotes by heart. "About 3 years ago, you said that actors who complain about negative reviews should develop thicker skin or choose another career. You also said the industry had become too sensitive." Jason's jaw tightened. "I remember that interview, but I think you're taking it out of context. I was talking about professionalism and how artists shouldn't let criticism stop them from creating." Craig nodded, his tone sharpening. "But don't you think there's a difference between criticism and the kind of personal attacks that many actors, especially younger ones and women, face online? Some people felt your comments dismissed real bullying." The audience grew silent. Jason's publicist shifted nervously off camera. "Craig, you're mixing two separate issues," Jason said, tension creeping into his voice. "There's a huge difference between criticism and harassment. I'd never dismiss real bullying. But not every negative opinion is harassment either." "So where's that line?" Craig asked, leaning back. "Because some of your colleagues say your attitude discourages people from speaking up about real problems." That was the turning point. Jason's composure cracked. "Colleagues? Which ones, Craig? I'd love to know who's saying that." "I'm just asking about your view," Craig replied calmly, though he clearly knew he'd hit a nerve. "No, you're not," Jason shot back. "You're accusing me of things on live TV based on gossip and old quotes taken out of context. You want to talk about industry problems? Let's talk about how interviews have turned into ambushes pretending to be journalism." Craig kept his tone steady. "Jason, these are valid questions about public statements you made. This isn't an ambush, it's journalism." Jason laughed, but it was cold and bitter. "Journalism? You're a morning show host asking me about a film, and somehow we're talking about a quote from years ago. How is that journalism?" Producers scrambled behind the scenes as the control room panicked over how to handle the live drama. Craig pressed on. "Your influence matters, Jason. When someone respected like you makes these kinds of comments, they carry weight. Don't you think that comes with responsibility?" Jason gripped the couch arms, his knuckles white. "My responsibility is to my work and my colleagues, not to tiptoe around so people don't twist my words." "But intention doesn't erase harm," Craig countered. "Surely you understand that." "Harmful?" Jason's voice cracked with disbelief. "You know what's harmful, Craig? Being accused of something you never said by someone who's never been in your shoes." The audience froze. Some started recording with their phones, sensing a viral moment. "I'm not attacking you," Craig said carefully. "I'm asking you to reflect." "Reflect?" Jason snapped. "You mean respond to sound bites ripped from a long interview and turned into something ugly? You think that's fair?" Craig glanced at his notes, visibly uneasy. Jason, I get that you're upset, but your reaction right now is exactly what some of your critics point out. That was gasoline on fire. Jason stood abruptly, his microphone pulling tight. Are you serious? You're psychoanalyzing me on live TV because I'm defending myself? This is exactly the problem, Craig. If I don't sit here and smile while you twist my words, then I'm the bad guy. It's a setup. Craig stayed seated but crossed his arms. Jason, this is live TV. We need to maintain some standards. Jason turned toward him, his anger sharp. Standards? What about the standard that says you don't lure someone onto your show under false pretenses? You invited me here to talk about my work, not to attack my character. The producers hesitated to cut to commercial. What they were witnessing was TV gold. I'm not attacking you, Craig said, voice firmer now. I'm holding you accountable for what you said. Jason laughed harshly. Accountable? You host a show that spends half its time on celebrity gossip and cooking demos. Don't act like this is investigative journalism. The air felt heavy. Craig's professionalism slipped for the first time. That's unfair. We cover real issues here. Uncomfortable? Jason cut him off, his voice rising. Try being misrepresented on national TV by someone who doesn't understand your world. Craig stood too, matching Jason's stance. I've been a journalist for 15 years, Jason. I've covered wars and disasters. Don't talk down to me because you don't like my questions. Condescending? Jason shot back. You brought me here to discuss my movie, not to scold me like a student. You're treating me like some problem that needs fixing, Craig finally snapped. Maybe that's what's needed. Maybe you need to be called out for the impact of your words. The audience gasped. Jason stepped closer, furious. Name one person I hurt, Craig, one. Not someone who disagreed with me. Someone actually harmed. Craig's reply was sharp. I won't give you names so you can target people. Target? Jason shouted. I'm asking for facts, not rumors. The room felt like it might explode. Craig, trying to hold his ground, said, Your reaction right now proves what people say about your attitude. Jason took a breath, his voice low but dangerous. You're right. I am defensive, because I've spent 2 decades building a career on respect and professionalism. And you're tearing it down with gossip. I'm just asking you to respond to real concerns, Craig insisted. From who? Jason demanded. Anonymous sources? People who heard something? This is gossip, not journalism. Craig's tone hardened. You're deflecting, Jason. You're attacking me instead of the issue. How it looks, Jason said, gesturing at the cameras, is that I'm being ambushed by someone chasing viral views. The control room was chaos, unsure whether to cut away or let it play out. Ratings were spiking in real time. I'm not chasing anything, Craig said, though his voice trembled slightly. Then name your sources, Jason snapped. If you're going to question my integrity, at least be honest about who's behind it. You know I can't reveal confidential sources, Craig replied. Jason laughed bitterly. Confidential sources? This isn't Watergate. It's breakfast TV turned tabloid. The tension between them wasn't just personal. It felt symbolic, like 2 sides of a bigger argument about truth in media. Craig straightened up. We have to ask hard questions, Jason. That's part of journalism. Jason's voice was icy now. No, Craig, real journalism means checking facts, not stirring controversy. One of us has failed that responsibility, and it's not me. Craig pushed back weakly. You can't dismiss every criticism as a conspiracy. Accountability? Jason repeated. It means owning mistakes, correcting falsehoods, and admitting when you're wrong, not turning everything into a spectacle. The room was silent. Even the crew stopped moving. I haven't done anything wrong, Craig said quietly. You've twisted my words, Jason replied. You're presenting your interpretation, not my reality. He reached for his mic, preparing to leave. The staff panicked. Jason, wait, Craig said quickly. We're live. Jason paused, then looked straight into the main camera. You're right, Craig, we are live. And everyone watching just saw exactly what I meant years ago when I talked about how context gets lost. They just saw how conversations become accusations. He turned back to Craig. You want accountability? I came here to talk about my work. You turned it into an interrogation. You chose drama over truth. Craig tried to speak, but Jason continued. You had a chance to talk about real issues in this business, and instead you went for gossip. That's the real problem. The studio fell into stunned silence. Craig looked shaken, unsure what to say. Jason sighed, calmer now. Craig, if you think this was real journalism, then you've confused conflict with truth. He looked around at the cameras, the audience, the stunned crew. I'm leaving because continuing this would be unfair to your viewers. They deserve better. He removed his mic and handed it to a crew member. If people think I can't handle criticism, fine. At least they'll base that opinion on what they saw, not rumors. Jason walked off the set, the cameras following every step. Craig stood frozen beside the orange couch, looking like a man who realized he'd gone too far. What began as a simple interview had turned into one of the most chaotic moments in morning TV. It showed how fast things can spiral when real questions cross into personal attacks. So what do you think really caused Jason's reaction? Was it the ambush-style questioning, the vague sources, or something deeper about how Hollywood handles criticism and accountability? Tell me your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more unbelievable moments like this one.